The first thing I want people to notice when they come into my house is the love that I have for this home. That's what I try to do with my design, is make each space feel loved. My name is Drew Michael Scott, and this is my handmade home in Los Angeles, California. I am a designer and content creator behind Lone Fox, a YouTube channel that I started many years back. And then I also have my Instagram and TikTok pages where I share attainable DIY projects for the everyday person. This is a 1929 Spanish Revival-style home. It's actually a duplex that I converted into a single-family home. That just allows me to kind of keep the bottom unit as a work area, and the top unit is kind of like where I actually live out of. So this first space that we are entering into is the lobby. This room before actually used to be turquoise, decorated with red. I felt like it had so much more potential, so I ended up painting this entire room, which really brightened up the space a whole bunch. I really wanted it to be kind of like the central meeting point where everyone gathers, just like a hotel lobby would be. I think my design philosophy for this house is to add back in as much character as I can, and then also keep intact all of the original character that's remained here. This right here is one of the original built-ins. The original wood floors, we actually sanded to just refresh them a little bit. All of the lighting is also original. And of course the beams. Everyone loves a beam. It adds a little bit of warmth and just brings your eye up. So I love the beams in here too. I definitely feel like my job is to preserve all of the original details, but have these kind of like modern finishes at the same time. This right here is an original Batch Elder fireplace. It actually was painted over and we ended up stripping it and restoring it. We have the original Batch Elder tile. This is actually the original mantle, and a bunch of different pots I found at flea markets, thrift stores, antique shops, just kind of matching the color palette that I wanted to go for in this space. I never was planning on doing Spanish style home. It was just kind of like whatever the home gave to me, I wanted to give to it. And that's the style that I felt like this space needed. And it really inspires me to utilize Spanish style elements and iron, travertine, and terracotta. I just like a mixture of rustic and really vintage and old, natural materials, old leather, but then still mix it with pieces that are modern, because I don't want my home to feel super, super old. However, I do want it to have that character, and I love pieces that not everyone else has. I'm also really incorporating a lot of handmade elements. I'm just very hands-on, so a lot of pieces throughout my home I've made. I actually created this table. I just used a saw to cut down all the dowels, and I bought a prefabricated top and a brad nailer to attach it all together. The coffee table was actually a marble slab. Ended up adding a pot holder underneath to create this coffee table. It's just beautiful. I love this room, so yeah. Working into our next space, this is the movie room. And this room is painted, as you could see, quite dark. It used to be actually bright yellow, but I painted it this dark kind of burgundy color, sometimes leaning into making it moody and dark. Gives it more of that overall vibe and designer feel. So that's what I wanted to do, was kind of lean into the dark feeling. This room also has some of the original beams in it as well, which I love. And also the light in here, it's probably from 1920. That kind of feels like when you're turning it off, like the lights are going down in the movie theater. So that's why I ended up adding that in here. From there, I added some curtains that I dyed. I just dyed the plaid fabric to match kind of the vibe of the room. These chairs are Facebook Marketplace, and these were $100. The guy said that he got them in Belgium 25 years ago at an antique shop, so we can only guess how old they actually are. And the couch, believe it or not, was free. It was on the back of a truck. They were bringing it to the dump, so I asked the person in the truck if I can have it, and they let me have it. I had it fully reupholstered in this paisley red fabric, and it just fits so perfectly in there, meant to be it. And across from here is where we watch the movies, of course. If you open this drawer, I added a screen. And then whenever we're done watching movies, it turns back into a nice little furniture piece. I'm extremely happy with how it turned out, and it is exactly what I wanted out of a movie room. So this here is what I call the grand living room. It has that very almost like Harry Potter, Hogwarts feel to it, very old world, and I wanted it to feel like a step into the past, but still like you're living in a current era. This cathedral ceiling is 100% like original and authentic to the home with all of the detail, the original painting on the beams, so pretty, and I love the colors they used. It's very cozy and warm. It kind of was the color inspiration for this room. Painted this entire room old white from Pharaoh and Ball, which kind of gives it this very old world feel, which I love. I stripped all the windows. And this chandelier was pulled out of a 1920s Gothic home in Long Beach. The chandelier totally feels like it could have been original in this room, adds a great old world feel to the space. This fireplace actually had a big, chunky, modern mantle that just didn't feel right, so I wanted to bring it back to its original character. So I actually ended up removing the mantle. And again, Batch Elder original tile on this entire surround. And then I just decorated it with some of my favorite pieces. Put my TV on the easel because I didn't want it to be over the fireplace, but I also wanted it to be like transportable. And then it was a matter of bringing in all the furniture pieces. The coffee table here actually was an antique kitchen island. So I ended up chopping like 12 inches off the legs and turning it into this coffee table, which is really nice because it's a substantial size. I just recently got this sofa. A lot of people say it looks like a sausage, which is rude, but it is an 80s Italian leather sofa. I love the color in here. I think it adds like a nice bit of kind of liveliness to the room. These just kind of have a Southwestern feel to them, and I love them in this room. So this back wall was completely blank before, and it actually had just two kind of prefabricated doors that were just not the vibe. So I actually ended up finding these at an antique store, also from 1920s, which is crazy, the era of my home. They were actually window panels, so I turned them into doors, trimmed them out, and then added these bookcases, which are actually just Billy bookcases from IKEA. And then did my own little kind of custom DIY trim on the top. I wanted that entire wall to be super focal and be able to add a lot of books and decor, and just the darkness and moodiness of this room is so beautiful. So perfect for the space. This right here is my little office. It was very, very stale. It had no character to it at all. And this ceiling here actually was not here. Only the painted beams were here. So I redid the entire ceiling to be more of a cathedral style ceiling from the living room into the office. Installed that, which I love. And then this room was painted this olive green color, and it also features some original kind of built-ins on either side, which is fun, just to make it feel a little bit more architecturally interesting. And then I brought in a bunch of really great paintings that I've collected over the years, and a desk. It's also off the balcony, so you can open up the door and get like some nice air in here. This room just features a bunch of really inspiring elements. I just really love this space. We are now stepping into the dining room. This room I actually fully lime washed. I wanted it to almost feel like stone on the walls. Really subtle and simple, but you have such a pretty texture on there. It has the original beams in here, similar to the living room. Such a fun detail of the space. And believe it or not, this big arch over here actually never used to be here. This actually used to be a wall, but I opened this up into an archway, and on either side I did these linen sconces, this light fixture, $100 on Facebook Marketplace. And it matches the style of the home, but it also kind of feels modern at the same time. I found this bookcase here, and I did a few hanging plates. I've been loving that look as well. All of the elements in this room, just the lighting and the afternoon feel that you get in here is just really beautiful. And then right behind here is like our little coffee bar area. I just love the different layers, the chandelier and then the arch and then this coffee bar. I love it so much. And then just leading right over here into the kitchen. You should have seen the before. It was a mess. White cabinets and just gray tile everywhere. It's just not me, not at all inspiring. So I started off by ripping out all the upper cabinets, all the tile off the walls, countertops got pulled out, pulling out all the flooring, plastering the walls, doing the range hood. Every single element was a reno in here, but I did keep all the lower cabinets and all of this cabinetry here too. Just painted it the dark chocolate brown color. It really feels kind of grounding, and I think the brown really looks nice. I found this really beautiful stone at the stone yard for a new countertop and the tile. I also did shelves on the top, and then we actually created the sink out of the offcuts from the marble. And then these lanterns I found at an antique shop. They're 1920s Spanish Revival. I just love, love, love the feel that you get when you come in here. Again, mixing kind of old and new. All the little elements just bring it to life. In here is the breakfast nook. The breakfast nook before was also just a white box. It had gray flooring, and so I ended up pulling that out, transferring the same flooring from the kitchen into the breakfast nook. This room too is actually painted dimity from Farrow & Ball, same as the lobby room downstairs. And I actually built the table inside the breakfast nook. It's actually an antique Moroccan tabletop, and I glued it to a pot that I then glued to a rock. And then these chairs, I mean, these chairs are so chic. They're literally created out of rebar and just other different types of metals with this woven leather seat, and they're actually super comfortable too. I love mixing metals, so I think they really match and kind of mesh well with some of the other elements throughout the home, but I love little kind of architectural details like that. Kind of quirky and different. This house has absolutely been a journey. It was a bit of a challenge going through the design process, but it has been such a fulfilling experience. And I feel like a lot of times you don't want to make changes to your space because you know it's going to cost a lot or you're going to have to hire out, but it is a lot more achievable and doable than you think. When you're able to actually do the project hands-on, you can really get the exact look you're looking for. I just absolutely love waking up in this home every single day. And I feel like it just gives this feeling of home. I just love it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Handmade for more home tours just like this.